Welcome to another one of to round 4 of my Fanmade Champions Island. Last time, thanks to Alistair and Puss in Boots, blue and yellow team got immunity at the dreaded votes. For red team, we got rid of Dr. Cortex and Sin, while for the green team, we got rid of Artosius and Conquer. So let's start it. And also that. So let's start. First up, for the last two of red team, we have Mewtwo, who is just Mewtwo, and that Timmy Sword Fighter, or what looks like Vader, and is trying to represent Luke Skywalker. So let's start. Luke moves on. But so what if red team loses once again? Then there won't be no dreaded votes and both Mewtwo and Luke will be eliminated. But it's not time for now. Next is Ridley, who is just Ridley, versus me Brawler, who's trying to represent Son Gohan. Gohan moves on. Next is Kirby, who is just Kirby, versus Darkbird, who's just Darkbird. Kirby moves on. Next is Mr. Game & Watch, who's trying to represent Plankton, versus Corin, who's trying to represent Alistair. Plankton moves on. Next is Shulk, who is just Shulk, versus Dr. Mario, who's trying to represent Dr. Doofenshmirtz. Shulk moves on. Next is Bayonetta, who's trying to represent Rouge the Bat, versus Kirby, who's trying to represent Bill Cipher. Rouge moves on. Next is King versus Puss in Boots. Puss in Boots moves on. Next is Robin, who's trying to represent Voldemort, versus Shulk, who's trying to represent Luffy. Voldemort moves on. Next is Mewtwo, who's trying to represent Bugs Bunny, versus Captain Falcon, who's trying to represent Homelander. Homelander moves on. Next, to end the one of round 4, we have Sonic, who's trying to represent Rayman, versus Little Mac, who's trying to represent Yujiro. So I guess that doesn't matter. Rayman moves on. Next is Gohan versus Kirby to start round 2 of round 4. Okay, so Gohan got Victini, so I guess that counts for him to use Final Smash, I guess. I forgot that was in the game. So I guess Gohan moves on. Next is Plankton versus Shulk. Plankton moves on. Next is Rouge versus Puss in Boots. So I guess that doesn't matter again. Puss in Boots moves on. Next is Voldemort versus Homelander. I picked specifically these two because Voldemort hasn't been the top leader, while Homelander kinda was, but it's because of my mistake. So let's do it. Voldemort moves on. Now we are going to begin round 3. And starting round 3 of round 4. We have Gohan versus Plankton. Gohan moves on. Next is Voldemort versus Rayman. Voldemort moves on. That's the end of our video. Yes, we're still gonna separate it into parts.